just our bodies that can move. It's been a busy day. It's been beautiful and warm. So go ahead and just pause. Breathing deeply, go ahead and think of your day. Go back through in your mind the different experiences you've had. Maybe all of them haven't been pleasant. That's okay too. In your mind, kind of go back over and see and find the good. Okay, even though maybe it hasn't had many, maybe it's just right now you're giving yourself the time to work for about an hour, moving through your body. We'll go a little bit over so that this is a whole hour. Take some deep, long breaths, inhaling and exhaling. And then go ahead, work your way into a child's pose. So from a seat to a child's pose. Breathing deeply, letting your breath move over your body. It's okay. Go ahead and shift side to side with your hips, finding that stretch and kind of celebrating that stretch. Then go ahead and work your way to your hands and your knees. Right? And then just a little bit of cat-cow. Rib cage moving side to side. Ooh, down and up. And then maybe just kind of wiggle through, finding the places you've worked today already. Maybe you got to sit longer at the computer and it's your shoulders. So you roll through those shoulders. Maybe it's your hips because you sat a little longer or you walked a little more. And then go ahead and work one foot forward. Yeah, side and back. Feeling the stretch on the inner thighs. Feeling the stretch on the hamstring. Inner thighs and hamstring. Back and forth. Beautifully done. And then go ahead and move that out to the side and just go wide. Take your body and walk it the other direction. That's such a fabulous way to get into that hip, to get across the side of the body. Some wonderful work done there. And then take this foot behind you. You know that this is one I do every day. Reach it up, stretch it. Hand behind the head, shoulders on the back, open it up. Go ahead and bring your elbow towards your other elbow. Oh yeah, coming up as high as you can on the rib cage. And then bring it back up, shoulders on the back. And then bring that back foot back forward. One of the things I think is most important is that as we do this, we have the opportunity to really notice what we're doing to the body. This is my second time doing this. How does it feel my second time through? Okay. Take it over to the side. Coming back this way. Oh yeah. Take it back behind. This time, go ahead, take this hand behind you. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see me. Here, bend that leg, reach around, grab. Opening through the heart, reaching that knee towards the opposite side of your head, reaching. Bending the elbow on top, pulling the shoulders back. And then Come to your hands and your knees and just pause. Take another breath. Notice that side of your body. Yeah. Other leg comes forward. Forward and back. Forward and back. Forward and back. Stretching and reaching. Lengthening through your body, through your spine. Celebrating all that it can do. Take it out to the side. Take it this way. That's such a great stretch. I also feel work in the glute. Take this foot behind. Just open it, hand behind the head, reach and stretch, and you're going to come up as high as you can. Notice I'm clear up on ridge tops. Bring elbow towards elbow. Come all the way back up. And elbow towards elbow. Come back up. And elbow towards elbow. And come back up. Oh, yeah. Bring this foot back forward. Second time through, what does it feel like? Notice that it's starting to warm up. Okay? That's such an important part, is just paying attention. And we're really just going to talk. We're going to focus on paying attention. I believe end of the night is a great time to kind of pay attention to, what was my day like? Did I do everything I wanted to? Go ahead and take it out to the side. Go for the lean. Notice my shin, my knee is going over the ankle. And then work your way back to the side. It's such a fabulous stretch. And take your foot behind. Okay, I'm going to go out to the side again so you can see. You're stretching it this way. Bend, quadricep stretch. Yeah. Push down. This shin reaching up gives you a nice stretch through that psoas muscle. Yeah, to that inner adductor. Oh, yeah. Go ahead and bring it back to hands and knees. Again, pause. Go back to your child's pose. Shift your hips up and over to one side. Ooh, that feels different. Come back to the second side. Beautifully done. Downward facing dog. I don't like getting really aggressive at night. I find that when I teach at night, I stay awake longer. I'm really trying to make a shift from going to bed at midnight, 1 in the morning, I'm still reading and not sleepy. Take your feet wide. Just your hips go side to side. Shifting them back and forth. And then back to your down dog. Roll into a high plank. Okay, we're just going to drop our hips. Lazy man's chaturanga, right? Knee, elbows go back, shoulders go back. Reach the chest forward. A little bit of a back bend. We don't do many back bends at night. They open us up. They enliven us. We want to open up, but not enliven. Okay, so just a tiny little back bend there, and then stretch back to child's pose again. Come all the way back up. First foot forward, okay? I know that if you're watching it live, it's going to be the same as mine, but on the recording, it reverses it. So I will still talk. Go ahead and go back and forth. It is your right foot forward. Spin. And come all the way up, warrior two. Come down in that pose. Let this thigh go deep. Let this inner thigh reach. And then just feel just this amazing wonder of what your body is doing. Reach both arms up overhead. Interlace fingers. Stretch. Try to get straight up. So you're trying to create space between this thigh and your body rather than leaning over that thigh. Okay. And then reverse the warrior. Your left hand comes to the thigh. Your right arm goes up and over. Forearm goes to the thigh. Stretch it. Konasana. Bring fingers to the floor. Spin up and open. Back thigh always lifts here. Okay. Shoulders on the back. Then you can actually create a little bit of a back bend here. Bring the back knee down. Anjaneyasana. Anjaneyasana is a low lunge. The front knee comes forward. Back thigh comes closer to the floor, but we're still trying to lift it up. Reach the arms. Stretch. Flatten the hands. Downward facing dog. High plank. Lazy chaturanga. Just drop those hips. Toes are down, knees are expanding, elbows back, shoulders back, lengthen through the chest. Child's pose. Stretch it back. Breathe. Other foot comes forward. Step that left foot forward, spin the heel. Come all the way up. Warrior two. Again, we're trying to get this thigh, front thigh, lower. It's right straight over the foot. Back thigh turns. Okay. We're just really wanting to be mindful. Go ahead and reverse that warrior. Feel that stretch along the waistline. And then Konasana. Forearm on the thigh as you stretch forward. Now my back thigh is reaching away from this stretch. Right hand comes to the floor, spin up, take the twist. Plant those hands, downward facing dog. This time when you take and open, go ahead and lift your right leg, take it up to the sky. Bring the knee into your chest. Bring the shin down, open it up, that same quadricep stretch we've already done. Reach around, take the curl. Second side, release, left foot forward. Come all the way up. I mean second side, I mean go to the left foot, sorry. Come back to the warrior two. Reverse the warrior two. Come back to the Konasana. Come back to the twist. Up on the back toes. Twisting low lunge. Three-legged down dog. Left leg is lifting. Open it up. Beautifully done. Bring the knee into your chest. Bring the shin down. Open it up to this side. Stretch and reach. Grasp that foot. Quadricep stretch. Open. When you release, come all the way back forward. Warrior two. Warming up our body, getting our muscles to kind of start singing. Reverse this warrior. Konasana. Twisting low lunge. Downward facing dog. Breathe. Run through a couple of vinyasas. Let's do 3 of them. Inhale, high plank. You can totally do the lazy man or regular chaturanga. Curl it open, upward facing dog, low cobra. Downward facing dog. Number 2, high plank. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Number 3, high plank. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Inhale, lift the right leg. One more time through this sequence. Open the hip. Close the hip. Hug the knee to your chest. Bring the shin to the floor. Open it up to the side. Clasp. Notice, here it is, 3rd time through this. Our body feels different. Step Warrior two. Left foot is forward. That back foot comes forward, right? Reverse the warrior. Parsvakonasana. You can stay here. You can go deeper. Breathe. Take the hand to the floor. Spin up on the back toes. Open it up. Downward facing dog. That back left foot, it's lifting, right? It goes right up into open the hips. Oh, close the hips. Bring the knee into your chest. Drop the shin. Lift it up. Quadricep stretch. Open through that heart. Go ahead and bring that foot all the way forward. Warrior two. Right foot is now forward. Pause and breathe. Reverse the warrior. Parsvakonasana, either forearm on the thigh or come lower. Stretch and reach. Fingertips to the floor, spin up, take the twist. Beautiful work. Plant those hands downward facing dog. We are going to walk our hands back to our feet. I'll turn my mat so that you can see. This one's a hard one to show face on. Okay, take a breath every single step of the way. So here's down dog. If you're already back to high or to forward fold, come back to down dog. Here we go again. Walk the hands back about 6 inches. Pause. Push down and forward with the hands. Bend the knees slightly. Reach the sit bones up. It's a great hamstring stretch. Come back down. Walk, reach, stretch. Come back. Walk, reach, stretch. Back again. Walk, reach, stretch. So your hands still have some weight in them, even if you need your knees bent. Go ahead and clasp your hands at your elbows and just hang. We're going to stay here for about 30 seconds. If you feel so much sensation that you're like, there's no way I can stay, come out, just halfway up, come back down. Breathing deeply. Letting the head just hang. Walk, kind of let the elbows swing to the right. Let them swing back to the left. Come back to center. Breathe. Hips, you try to have right up over the heels, not back behind the heels. Really try to have them right up over the heels. Bend the knees a little if you need. Release those hands. Walk back to down dog. Slowly, one hand and then the other. Plant those hands, push down and forward, shoulders up by the ears and then shoulders away from the ears. Slight bend in the knees to lengthen the spine. From the sit bones, tailbone, clear to the top of the head. One long line, tighten the waistline. And take 5 deep breaths. Inhale and exhale. Rib cage, belly is pulling in, waistline pulls in. Here's my second completed breath. We're breathing slowly. Top of my head reaches towards my thumbs, heels reach to the floor, shins reach to the floor, sit bones to the sky. One more breath. Bring your knees to the floor. Beautifully done. Okay. So we're going to run through that whole sequence, holding each pose for a little bit longer. And then we'll come to the floor for our yin practice. Okay. So I'll do it sideways. Downward facing dog. Let's do one vinyasa. High plank. Lower down chaturanga. Inhale, curl it open. Low cobra. You can go up to up dog. You can even get the knees off the floor. Downward facing dog. Inhale, lift the right leg, stretch it up, open the hip. Really let that open. Look, I'm clear up high on my toes. And then reach the heel towards the floor. You may not get it there, and don't let your knee lock, right? There's a slight bend in the knee. Go ahead and take a back bend here. Let your head reach back towards that foot. And then square the hip. Bring the knee into your chest. Hold it up as high as you can. You're in like almost a high plank. Okay, then you're dropping the shin and opening it up. Bending the back leg. A little bit of quadricep stretch. Find yourself in a little back bend here. Go ahead and release that foot. It's coming all the way to the front of your mat. I'm just going the other way so that you can see me face instead of my behind. Come all the way up. Yeah, come down in that lunge. Reverse the warrior. You're staying down as deep as you can in the lunge, reaching back. Forearm to the thigh, fingers to the floor, Parsvakonasana. Reaching that back. We're going to add one thing onto it, right? Trikonasana. Straighten the front leg. I always step my back foot in a little bit so that I can pull the hips to that back corner. Open it up. Now twist. Come up, come into your lunge. It's the twisting low lunge. Plant those hands. Downward facing dog. Vinyasa, high plank, chaturanga, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Left leg lifts. Take it up in the air. Open that hip. Come clear up high on the standing leg, on the toes. Go ahead and bring the heel down. It's a calf stretch. Bend the knee slightly. And then take your head back. Make it a back bend as you reach your head towards that extended foot. Square the hips. Bring the knee into your chest. Drop the shin. I'm going to face backwards. Pick up the leg. Reach around. Clasp. Open through the heart. Reach and stretch. That quadricep is getting some movement. Go ahead and release. That foot comes all the way forward, warrior two. Come all the way up. Come down in your lunge. Make sure your knees right up over the ankle. Reverse the warrior. Find that stretch. Maybe go a little deeper. Never on the knee, above it or below it. Parsvakonasana, right angle pose. Stretch and reach. Add on a trikonasana here, a triangle. Straighten the leg. You notice I hop that back leg in a little bit so that I can get length and the hips moving back. And open it up. Take a twisting low lunge. Plant the hands, spin up, come into that lunge and open it. Downward facing dog. Last vinyasa. High plank. Chaturanga. Up dog. Down dog. Beautifully done. Go ahead and walk your hands slowly back to your legs again. Okay, I'm going to turn and face. But come back one at a time till you're in a forward fold. We're going to hold this forward fold for 2 minutes. I'm starting the timer. Again, if you need to come up, coming out of that lunge and coming back in, please do so. Shins, we're not locking our knees, so bring your shins slightly forward. You can totally clasp your elbows. They help bring a little bit of weight into the upper body. Let your head just hang. Take deep breaths. At any time, you can come halfway up. Take a deep inhale and come back down. If you don't like clasping your elbows, you're totally fine to let the hands hang. There's 1 minute. Shift the weight on your feet slightly forward, slightly back, slightly forward, slightly back. Breathe deeply, letting the body just be. Feel everything you can feel. I'll shift the weight a little to my left foot, and I feel it more in that left glute and hamstring. Then I shift a little to the right, and I feel it a little bit more there. Really pay attention. That's one of the beauties of this practice. We take the opportunity to pay attention. Slowly bring the arms out, bring the knees to the floor, child's pose. Stretch it back for about 30 seconds. Breathing deeply. From here, we're going to go to a seat. I hope you have a pillow or a blanket folded handy. Go ahead and come up. Beautifully done. Okay. So the next one we're going to do is ankle pose. I'll go to the side. If you need something behind here, please put it there. Okay. If you can't get the hips to the heel, you're going to sit back, and on the ding, we're actually going to lift the knees up. My feet are flat. You're going to get a beautiful stretch. Now, if you can't do this with your knees, then get a chair and you can pull the knees behind you, or you can come up way high here, okay, and not go back as far on the knees. Go ahead. We're going to just hold this for 1 minute. It's intense. You can keep your body long and the hands at the heart. If this is just no way on your knees, would you just stay in child's pose? Always breathing deeply. There might be some wavering, knees coming closer to the floor and pulling them back up. That's okay too. It's a fabulous work for the ankle. Come out. Come on to your hands and your knees. Go back to down dog. So stretch out. Go ahead and come up and down on those ankles. Roll them side to side. Maybe walk through them one and then the other. Go ahead and take them wide again and just shift your hips side to side. Dragon pose. Okay, we're going to work our way. One knee comes to the floor, the other foot comes forward. You are using blocks if you need to, pillows if you need to. You're leaning, okay? I'd like you today to do it with your hands on the floor or a block. True dragon pose brings it up here for the hang, there really is just kind of this drape action, but please bring your hands to the floor. Okay, this takes a moment. We are still feeling a lift in that back thigh. My knee is on the floor. My toe is flat, not toes turned under. This knee is ahead of the ankle. So it's an Anjaneyasana, which, by the way, we just did on one side in the sequence. Sorry about that. Isn't that funny? I didn't recognize it till I got in and started doing it and realized my other side of the body didn't do this. Try not to let your head hang. Lift it up. Reach your chest forward. This isn't an easy pose to hold. It's very sensational. The breathing will help. If this is with all of the poses, regardless of what we do. If you're like, oh, I can't stand this, then you're reaching up, pulling back, and coming back in. That's 1 minute. We got 2 more to go. My head loves to do this hang thing. I have to remind it to lift up. Anytime, even if it's not at the ding, you can lift and pull back, then come back in. Our bodies love to move. It requires quite a bit of them to hold still in poses. One more minute. And again, if you're totally done, please come out and come all the way to your child's pose and just hold it. A little pulse in and out is also something that is very beneficial. It's why we warm up with it. This is much more intense to hold. There goes my head again. This is always really sensational for my hips. Take some deep breaths. You're going to come out into child's pose. Or you have the option of puppy pose. So child's pose again is the hips all the way back to the heels. Puppy pose can be up here in the air and just reach the hips back. Again, if this really, really bugs your knees, get something underneath your hips so that when they come down, right, they don't come down as very far. You just pop that up underneath. On the ding, we'll move back into the same dragon pose on the other side. All the way. Other foot forward. Come in. Pretty easy to get into this pose, okay? Now this is my particular hip that's sore. You'll probably see me moving in and out more. You're welcome to follow me. Coming in and out, right? With your breath. Back thigh is lifted, okay? Front shin reaches forward. Back toes are flat. Chest reaching forward. Head reaching up. Breathing deeply. At any time, you can take that backward fold. That gives you a nice stretch on the hamstring. We'll get into the hamstrings. Try to remember to lift that head. Beautifully done. This affords us a lot of opportunity, to sit and think, how do I feel in this pose? It's not an easy pose to hold. It's very sensational. And look at you holding it. Beautifully done. Two minutes on the ding, right? Take it back. Come back in. Breathing deeply, feeling that sensation, celebrating the fact that your body can do all of this work. Take slow breaths. See if they can speed the time up on the ding, child's pose or puppy pose. Breathing deeply. Go ahead, come up. We're going to come to our seat. I grab always a pillow for underneath my hips. It gives me a little bit more of a seat. Okay, one-legged, Janu Shavasana. This foot, try not to let the ankle come to the ground. Try to keep it flexed and in. Okay, your knee down. Again, if you can't get the knee down, a block underneath that knee is totally fine. Watch that this one doesn't go all the way to the floor. Okay, a pillow if the block is too high. Fold forward. The purpose here is not to get as low as you can. Okay, it's to lean and hinge at the hips. So the hinge does not happen here in the rounded back. Okay, you will get a back stretch, I promise, but you're hinging here at the hips, going forward and then going with the fold. The foot is more forward than out to the side, but it's not straightforward. It is a little bit out to the side. You can go over the foot. You can go inside the leg. It's a different stretch. Here, you're not going to get as down as deep. This on the inside will be more of a hamstring stretch. We are holding this for 3 minutes. As with any of the other poses, that's way intense on your hamstring. You're coming up, pausing, taking a couple breaths, and coming back down. If you feel like your head really could benefit by putting it on something, grab a block. If you can get it to the floor, use the floor. Deep breaths. I have to come up a little so I can talk. You can't hear me if I talk into the floor. My foot really isn't stretching flex, but my heel is down into the carpet, into the floor, into the mat. That helps me keep my shin. 2 minutes, one more to go. If you feel that directly behind your knee, please put a bend in your knee and put something underneath your knee. On the ding, we'll just work our way to our second side. I do feel this in my low back, down through the hips and the sacrum area. Go ahead and come up. That was 3 minutes. Really well done. Change sides. Again, if you get down, we are not symmetrical beings, right? You might get on this other side and go, whoa, this is way much tighter. Use whatever you need. Pillow under the leg, something under this bent knee, right? The heels into the floor, which keeps a little bend in that shin. But then I just kind of let these toes relax. Breathing deeply. And anytime you need to come up, give yourself just a little bit of a break and come back down. Try to lengthen out those breaths, maybe even count seconds, how many seconds the inhale takes and the exhale takes. I also try to take my mind to the body parts that are feeling sensational and recognizing the good work that's happening in those places. 2 minutes, 1 to go. When we come out of this pose, we're going to lie down on our backs into a Shavasana. We're not done. Just thought you ought to know. One of the things that starts to happen to the body as we stay long enough in these poses is you can start breathing and you actually feel the body give. Now, we're not pushing and pulling for that give. But as you feel, just on an inhale, maybe on an exhale, you can just come a little deeper into a pose, a little bit more of a stretch. That's kind of what we're looking for. Go ahead and walk your way up. Grab hold of your knees. Work your way to your back. We're going to be on our back for a couple of poses, but just come. You can totally keep your knees bent and knock the knees. That helps the low back relax. Or you can let the legs go all the way down into Shavasana. Sometimes I find my back it's been worked, it's been stretched, and so it has a hard time relaxing with my legs straight. That's why you bend the knees and knock them, feet a little wider so the knees can just come in. Take a couple of really deep breaths. On the ding, we're moving into happy baby. Notice in happy baby that you might be able to get the knees close to the floor, but they might not. So go ahead, you bring them up, hold on to the heels, and you're just pulling. Knees are remain at a right angle. Okay, if you can't get to the feet, you can totally grab a strap, but you can also do this, or you can just leave them here. There's gravity working on this, and these poses are designed to work gravity. Okay, we're holding this one as well for 3 minutes. 3 minutes, unless it's really sensational pose, is what most start at, most of the yin classes. You can close your eyes if you've still got a light on up above you. If you've got your hands on your heels and your feet, Please do not pull down. Let gravity take its toll. And with every other pose, that's getting too intense. Come out, come back in. I will always give you an option, okay? Some poses seem so much easier than others. I don't know if you're finding that, but I certainly find that. This is one that I could hold for quite a long time. Which is interesting because malasana can't hold very long at all. My hips are weak, but then they're moving against gravity. Your gravity's benefiting the hips by pulling the knees gently and softly towards the floor. Just by using the weight of my hands on my heels. With the ding, we're going back into, that's just 2. We got 1 more minute. Is that 3? Oh, I lied. Go ahead and bend those knees. Bicycle through them gently. Egg beater them is out to the side. Crisscross them. Okay, we're going to take some twists. So I'll do them facing you, but I'll do them this way too. Twisted root. Right leg's coming across the left. Wrap them up. Now, if you can't get this right foot underneath your left calf, it's okay. You can just hold it right here. Okay. This knee is coming to the left side of your body. So it's coming all the way to the floor. Now, when you do this, this other shoulder, right, this right shoulder is up and off the floor. Push into this elbow, pick up, and move your body back. Now, if you can't get your shoulder on the floor, will you grab a pillow or a block to put it underneath? Okay. Here we go. We're twisting. One hand here. I keep this elbow bent. I'm trying to reach my rib cage down. It's a severe twist. Again, if you need to come out, please unwind the legs first. Come out of the twist and work your way back into the twist. Try to look towards that arm, not your knee side, away from your knees. Take some deep breaths in your chest. And as you exhale, see if the twist maybe can deepen. So if you're really kind of curious what this looks like, I'm going to move it a little to the side. Okay, 2 minutes. We've got another one. We're just holding this one for 2. Okay, pushing down, up and over, and then both shoulder and knee on the floor. Twisted root twist. Really, those deep breaths will make all the difference. Unwind the legs, Shavasana. So come all the way up and stretch out into Shavasana. Again, if your low back can't relax, this is where you're coming, because that really will make a difference on that low back. On the ding, we'll do the other side. Letting that breath really be the impetus to where your mind is going, to what you're thinking. And notice that, I don't know if you feel this way, but when I'm doing yoga, I find that my mind really can stay. Go ahead, other second side. Left leg comes up, it crosses over. You can come underneath or not. Take the legs, they go to the right side of your body. Push in with the right elbow, twisting back. I find that on my yoga mat, I'm really sometimes in the poses like this one is so intense. My mind really can stay here. So find the inhale and the exhale. Notice that as you stay here long enough, you do feel a little bit of a release in your waistline, in your rib cage, maybe your low back. Continue to breathe long and slow. We've got another minute. If you find your mind wandering, rather than, oh crap, and making a judgment about that, would you please just bring the idea and the thought back to your breath, back to what your body's feeling, doing. Another Shavasana when the bell rings, when the chimes ding. Uncross the legs first, and come up, find Shavasana. Here, start to really pay attention to what your body's doing and how it's feeling. Mine's starting to feel like it's been wrung out, right? And it's just kind of starting to celebrate. From this pose, we're going to turn onto our side and come to a seat again. So go ahead and bend one leg. Shift over to that opposite side. Use your hands. So we're always trying to come up this way, right? Okay. Now, as you come into this pose, something underneath your hips again, please. I've got pillows all over this house. Okay. Okay, we're going wide dragonfly pose. Now, in this pose, you need something underneath your knees. I love putting a blanket or pillows underneath both of my knees, and then they don't lock back because they're really highly flexible. We're going forward, okay? You can totally, again, we're doing that same hinge at the hip first. So the pelvic area tilts forward. You see the base of the pelvis, you come more to the pubic bone, okay? The sit bones are there, but you're more forward. You've tilted the pelvis. Okay, the heels are in, but you don't need to flex your feet. You can totally let them go. Okay, and then you're just coming. You do not need to go all the way to the floor. True dragonfly pose does come all the way down. Again, if that gets really sensational, you know what you're doing. You're coming up. You can bend your knees. You can come out of it, right? And then just work your way back into it. Our body responds best if we listen to what it's saying to us and what it needs. 2 more minutes in this pose. Still use your breath. Move it along your spine, up and down. One more minute. So I'm going to come up a little so I can talk with you. You're welcome to join me up a little if you want to. In some of the Yin study I've done, I have found that this type of holding of poses and then the moving in and out with our breath based on what our bodies, our sensations that we're feeling, really using that breath, right? The body, I just always thought that as we aged, I get up every morning, I'm pretty stiff. But as I've studied this, and I don't feel I've been doing it long enough to really have an in depth practice, most people, and a lot of I've studied with are older than I am. They're well into their 60s. And they are talking about the idea, go ahead and slowly move out. This one, you're going to come, bend your knees, pull them in, just hold on and take a round right over here, forehead to the knee. It's kind of like a child's pose, but sitting. I'm still going to talk. One of the things that happens is as we still align ourselves right, but we allow ourselves to just hold the poses, using our breath to just soften ourselves into the poses. And most of the instructors are saying, I actually don't hurt in the morning when I get up. That's a novel concept. I can get out of the hurt. I know what to do to warm up, right? So that to me is very, since we've been home, I've been stretching, I've been doing some of this every night. Okay, go ahead, cow face pose. We'll do this both sides and then we'll be done. Okay, we'll come into Shavasana. Knee to knee, if you can. Okay, you're really trying. If you need to, it's sometimes easier to get up here, tuck the knee behind, feet go wide. You're coming back down. Now, if coming back down is impossible, this is always an option. Okay, grab a block, stick it underneath your hips, and come up a little higher, right? And then you're taking the forward fold. The stretch on the back, the stretch on the side of the hips. Fabulous place to be. This is a great place to use your breath. Notice on the exhale, can you feel yourself give a little bit more into the pose? One more minute here. With the ding, we'll just change sides. Go ahead and walk your hands up, walk your body up, lean back, take your knees with you. Go ahead and just uncross and recross. Okay. Again, you can totally come up onto your knees. There's a really fun way to twist, but we won't do that today. Again, you'll notice that this side is different than the other. It's totally fine. Work your way down into the pose. Two more minutes. Last minute. Anytime, you're welcome to come up and come back in. After this, go ahead and lie for Shavasana, real Shavasana. If you need pillows or bolsters under your knees, please do so. I will leave you in Shavasana. Please make sure you use the knees to the side, use your hands and arms to come back up out of Shavasana. Go ahead and work your way up. Lean back, uncross those legs. Oh, wiggle those out. Well done. So I have a new favorite friend with Shavasana, and that's using a pillow underneath each leg rather than the bolster. That really feels fabulous to my back. So come on down, set it up. I push my elbows into the floor, relax my shoulders. Take some deep breaths. For just a moment, let your mind go back over today. For me, everything seems wonderful. And that's one of the reasons we do yoga, because when our body feels this good, we're like, oh yeah, that was a little issue. No big deal. Breathing deeply, and then slowly let the breath ease out of your body. Your mind is no longer focused on your breath. Have a wonderful evening. Go ahead and stay here as long as you want. Namaste.